Coming up on This Week in Radio Tech, we're broadcasting live. Well, I guess you're not seeing it live because you're watching a replay. But we're in Columbus, Ohio at the Ohio Broadcasters Engineering Conference and the SBE National Membership Meeting. We've got Vinny Lopez with us, also Jerry Massey, the president of the SBE, and Ralph Hogan, the certification chairman as well. All that's coming up on This Week in Radio Tech. Brought to you by Lavo and the crystal clear console from Lavo. Touchscreen technology to make broadcasting easier and more accurate. Also brought to you by Direct Current, the weekly e-newsletter putting you at an advantage. Direct Current from the Telos Alliance. And by the Telos VX Prime. Here's a voice-over IP multi-studio, multi-line phone system for smaller facilities, 2 or 3 control rooms. The VX Prime from Telos. Hey, welcome into This Week in Radio Tech. I'm Kirk Harnack, your host, along with Chris Tobin. And this is not Chris. This is Vinny. I'm going to get to you in just a minute, okay? All right. We are live in Columbus. Yeah, I said that like a radio guy. We're live in Columbus, Ohio, at two events, the Ohio Broadcasters Association Engineering Conference and the SBE National Meeting going on at the same time here. And so that's where I am. We're broadcasting live from here for the next hour. And Chris Tobin is with us as well. Chris, hey, welcome into This Week in Radio Tech. Glad you're here.
Well, thank you, Kirk. And it looks like you guys are going to have a good time. My best to Vinny. Yeah, well, you're live on location. I'm live on a residence here in the New York City area. And it's pouring rain outside. It's very annoying.
Oh, gee. Oh, man. Well, stay warm, stay dry inside. I'm sure you will. And because we haven't got enough headphones here going around, the way the show's going to work is if I've got a guest next to me, I'll be yapping with the guest. And then when we excuse the guest, Chris Tobin and I will chat about whatever. Chris, I'll leave it up to you to come up with some good topic with the whatever. That's right. Vinny,
all right.
You've been a guest on our show before.
Yes, indeed.
And we're going to jump into some of the show here in a minute, but we want to promote right away what folks should watch for. We're here for the SBE National Meeting.
The SBE National Meeting, 4 o'clock. You go to www.sbe.org. You'll find a link there. Click on it. You can watch the entire national meeting, 4 to 5. If you're an SBE member, click away.
And so we got a setup in here. Let me see if I can show this. I hate to do this, but I'll pick up the camera. And there is there's a camera right there. Vinny, what kind of camera are you looking at there?
That is a Sony 4K. I don't know the model number. It's brand new.
And by the way, Chris Shearer is 4K as well nowadays.
Yeah.
I've
heard that, yes.
That's
in dog years.
And so are all the cameras these Sonys?
2 of them are the Sonys. One is just the cover shot's just a little JVC consumer cam. We'll see how it stacks up. And since the method of delivery is live stream, it should all work out.
And then we can't show it very easily because my cable's only so long, but what am I looking at behind us
here?
What
you're looking at is a combination of a Sony Anycast, which is actually going to switch the cameras, that runs into a live stream studio box that will take the stream and encode it. It also lays on graphics. It's also the media player. It does a lot of things.
Wow.
And it can also call in a remote interview if we need it to, which today we don't.
Let's chat about this just a bit more in a moment. But first, we got to mention one of our sponsors, and that is the folks at Lavo and the Lavo Crystal Clear Audio Console. Now, here's what you need to do. Normally, I've got a speech. I talk about this thing, but I'm going to talk off the cuff for a minute. First of all, you need to go to that website that you just saw, lavo.com, L-A-W-O, lavo.com. And if you look for Crystal Clear, you see the name of it right there? Crystal Clear. Your case doesn't matter. Just search for Crystal Clear. And there's a video in the top right of that screen. It's Michael Dosh. He's the director of virtual radio projects. Yes, the hand is showing it right there. And he explains the Crystal Clear console and the whole concept. It's a touchscreen console. Now, I got to tell you, 20 years ago, I was dreaming of a touchscreen console about the time the McDonald's first came out with touchscreen ordering screens. And this thing is amazing. Look, you couldn't do this 20 years ago, but with today's technology, multi-touch touchscreen, the picture there shows one finger on a fader knob, which is actually the monitor volume knob on this console, but you can touch up to 10 things at the same time. Now, that will account for all your fingers right there. So you can move faders up and down, buttons. In other words, there's no practical limitation to your being able to control this console on a big, beautiful, bright touchscreen. And all the controls have been sized for your finger. So they didn't just take a snapshot of some, piece of software and turn that into a console. Everything is sized for your fingers. And the DSP engine in the Crystal Clear, and that's the Crystal DSP engine, what it does, it has a number of features that makes mixing even easier. This feature called Auto Mix. So you can run a talk show with live guests, or you can run a music show and have almost hands-free operation. Now, during the course of a talk show, you can be hands-free. Just when you want to turn the mics off and switch over to some commercials or a news break or something, that's when you have to start touching the console. But you don't have to ride the levels moment by moment by any means. There's also auto gain. So you can have a guest. You don't know if this guest is boisterous and loud or if this guest has a wimpy little voice. Either way, you just have the guest talk. While they're talking, you push a button and bam, it sets the mic preamp. That's the right place to do this. It sets the mic preamp for the right amount of gain. So 10-screen touch, the console with a touch screen, and auto gain and auto mix. It does EQ, dynamics control on every fader. Plus, optionally, you can get a redundant power supply. And you can get Ravenna and AES67 connectivity in and out via AES67 to any other AOIP system. That would include LiveWire or anything else that's out there that's compatible with AES67. So check it out. Go to Lawo, LAWO.com. If you're in the U.S., you can call Bill Bennett. He is the U.S. representative for Lawo. And try this thing out. If the idea of a touchscreen console reducing your workload and making fewer mistakes makes sense to you, then I would encourage you to try it out. Lawo.com. Thanks to Lawo for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. All right, we're here with the Ohio Broadcasters Engineering Conference, and so there are plenty of exhibitors here showing off their wares. Importantly, there are lots of sessions going on, and I'm going to ask Vinny about the show in just a second, but I got to show you this. This is brand new from the SBE. It's their engineering handbook, and we're going to take a closer look at this in a few minutes, so get ready. But while Vinny's here, I want to chat with him. So, Vinny, you've been doing this video stream for a few years now.
We started doing this way back in 2000, back in the old days, in Pittsburgh and in Madison, Wisconsin, and Syracuse, and at that time we would do a separate webcast, not the national meeting. And we finally decided at one point, why not just do the national meeting, since why reinvent the wheel? You're presenting the same content at the webcast that you would present at the national meeting.
I remember these webcasts. Weren't they done in a TV studio?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
We would find a TV studio and we'd take out all the stops and do it. But for the last few years, we've done them remotely. We go into the market, we try and plan and see what equipment we can scrounge, what I have to bring with me, what's available, and we make it work.
Wow.
So
in terms of your switching gear, you
right.
mentioned you have a Sony.
It's a Sony Anycast from the folks over at WSYX Channel 6, Sinclair and Columbus. That's what we're going to use to switch the cameras, and that also is handling the audio.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't need a separate audio.
Now, it's a Sony Anycast. Is this a piece of hardware or software?
It's a hardware.
Okay.
It's a dedicated box that can stream out, and it's touchscreen with audio inputs as well as video. And but we're not using it for the actual streaming. We're using it as a switcher and audio console.
Okay. All right.
And then we take the output of that and feed it into the live stream box, which is going to lay the graphics over. It's going to play out the media, opens, closes, sponsor tags, and also the lower thirds. And we also have it wired to a laptop up front that we're going to run the PowerPoints off that laptop, and we can take them live to air.
So you don't have to shoot the PowerPoints with a camera?
You don't have to shoot the PowerPoints with a camera. They come right up on air.
Now, being a weather guy, I'm not seeing the green screen anymore.
No green screen. We're not doing a virtual webcast today. Maybe someday.
So in about, how long from now? About 2 hours from now?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock Eastern.
4 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
We'll have the stream up probably about 3:45, and you can tune into it. Go to the website, sbe.org. The link is there to take you to the live stream, and we'll go 4 to 5.
Cool. Now, how many people are we expecting to fill this room up with? Maybe 70, 80 people?
Yeah, we're expecting to fill the room because the Ohio OAB sessions let out at 3:45 is the last session,
How
and then
convenient.
we're going to try and just funnel people in to the room, and hey, here's a bonus, one more session.
Yeah.
Go sit for this one.
So in this webcast or in this session,
Yeah.
with the SBE, it's the national membership
National
meeting.
membership meeting, yeah.
What are some of the activities we can expect during that hour?
We're going to hear from President Jerry Massey. We're going to hear from our treasurer, Andy Cummis, our membership committee report with John Poray substituting for Tim Anderson. We're going to have the induction of new board members, of which you are one of them.
That's at 4?
That's going to be at 4.
I didn't know if that was now or at dinner tonight.
No, that's
Okay,
now
that's
at
now.
4
All right,
o'clock. So
all right.
don't go nowhere.
Okay, I'll be here. I'll be here.
I can't believe you forgot about that.
I didn't know what time it was. I'm just here.
Chris Imlay will do the swearing in or at ceremony, whatever you feel more appropriate,
Okay.
as he's done for the last 30-some-odd years.
I didn't know he was a judge. I thought he was an attorney.
He is.
But I thought you'd be a judge to swear people in.
For our organization, no. We can use our lawyer.
Maybe he's the captain of a ship.
Could be.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
We'll get him a captain's hat.
Oh, that, yeah.
Oh, how about those judge
the
wig?
wigs, yeah. The
yeah.
judge wig and a robe.
We should do that.
We should do that next year for his ceremony. We probably should do that.
Okay.
He is our favorite punching bag, and we love him.
I sat next to him during the board meeting last night. Yeah, he's a card.
He is. So,
All right.
one other interesting little side bit about this is
hang on.
I was part of the test proofreading and team on this book.
Uh-huh.
So part of that I went over and looked at for content.
Any typos are ones that you approved?
Probably.
Okay.
Yes. Dyslexics untie.
Now, let me ask you a couple more things about the video production.
Yes.
Okay, because we talk about radio tech here,
Right.
but radio gets more and more television added to it.
Right.
How many people does it take at that desk back there to produce this? Pretty much you?
1, 2.
Okay.
Ron Taylor, the chief engineer of WSYX, has donated all the audio equipment for this.
Yeah.
And he'll be taking care of that aspect of it. And I'll be handling the video switching duties. And, excuse me, we've got a couple of camera people, another gentleman, Johnny Cash from WSYX. No, not him. And another gentleman from Chapter 52, Central Ohio. Forgive me, I don't remember. He'll be running the other camera, and the third camera will be just a static wide shot.
So you're the director, the producer,
And
the TD.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wear many hats. Yes.
Has this worked out well in the past?
It has.
So it's not too much multitasking to do?
It's not too much multitasking for this. Our goal today is to keep it simple.
Okay.
You know, we're not going to get real complicated with it. We would need more people to really get complicated.
Tell me about the live stream software and what it's doing, and where are you shipping the signal off to from here?
We are shipping the signal directly to Livestream, to my account.
Oh.
That's where the stream is coming up.
So they're handling the distribution?
They're handling the distribution on it.
I see. So Livestream not only, and by the way, we're going to have a friend of mine who works for Livestream on the show, on a future show, Jeff Adams. But so Livestream not only makes hardware, software.
Right. They don't make hardware per se. They make control panels, but the hardware is Blackmagic design input and output cards.
Ah, okay.
Their software hooks into those. You can either use Blackmagic or Magwell cards, and you build up this box. They do sell pre-configured boxes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
But they're Blackmagic hardware. They sell the pre-configured boxes. This one is a roll-your-own kind of deal. So I can build it just the way I wanted it.
And so not only do they sell the software and hardware that you might need to generate the stream, but then they also offer a CDN.
Yes, they offer a CDN service. You can get, if you're a serious professional.
Well, that wouldn't be us, but if you
No, that wouldn't be us. They offer a package that's probably $900 a month that you can have a paywall, you can have embeds, you can do the whole Megillah with it.
Wow.
But we're using the simple little account.
All right. Well, when my Megillah network is ready, I'll have a paywall.
We'll get the Gorilla, yes.
Now, let's the last thing we'll chat about. So 4 p.m. Eastern time.
4 p.m. Eastern to 5.
SBE.org.
SBE.org. Look for the link.
All right. And you can watch the meeting that we'll be in.
It just got published.
Oh, good.
A lot going on here in the room today, people.
Chris Shearer just said the link just got published. Now, if they click it right now, they won't see anything.
If they click it right now, they'll go to the landing page. There's nothing live right now.
Okay. All right. Can we have some bars and tones?
maybe.
Yeah.
If,
Hey,
if you could.
you're a TV engineer
Yes.
in Syracuse, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, bars.
Yes.
Now, I grew up in a TV environment through my high school years, and I know that bars were really important for adjusting the cameras and the VTRs and any other stuff in the the
Yep.
video processors and
Yep.
such. In today's digital world, are bars
Not so much.
but we still see them.
We still see them.
Okay,
But they're not used so much nowadays.
because you don't go adjust for the yellow or the cyan or the magenta.
No, the days of the tweaker in the pocket are a thing of the past. And if we see someone coming through with a tweaker in their pocket, whoa, stop, don't touch it.
All right. Engineers have all heard about and have been accustomed to the big, thick NAB engineering handbook, and we've had that out. We've had that for years and years, and it's going into the 11th edition pretty soon. I was very pleased and honored to write a chapter for that. But SBE has come out with one too, and I guess it's kind of a competitor to the NAB book.
I wouldn't consider it a competitor. It's an addition to it. You should really have both in your arsenal of educational tools.
I like this. It has a lot of pictures in it.
There's a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, the parade is going by.
All right.
Anything can happen. This is live TV.
If it wasn't for photo bombs, we'd have no show at all.
Right. That's it. It's
So,
exactly
so
right.
there's both. I've been looking through. There's TV. I don't want to cover the mic. There's TV and radio stuff in here. Lots and lots of stuff you need. Well, it says right here, hands-on guide to station design and maintenance. So you can design a broadcast station,
Yes.
or you can maintain
Or you
one.
can build it. Design, build, maintain.
And I guess that is streaming covered in here to some degree? I don't know.
At some degree, yes, it is.
Boy, we won't go through all the chapters.
Combiners,
Yeah.
FM combiners, TV broadcasting. There's a lot of good stuff in here.
DTV RF, that seems complicated to me. IP transport for DTV.
Yes.
Man, there's a lot of stuff
A
here.
lot of good things.
Wow. Okay, and it was edited by, I see, Jerry Whitaker.
Jerry Whitaker,
Yeah.
yes, SBE member, former vice president of the organization.
All right. Good book. And any idea what this costs?
Yeah.
Is it $9,000?
No, I'm not sure. I can find out, though.
It's probably on the website.
It probably is on the website.
Yeah.
Go to the SBE website, and you'll be able to find out. And if you're an SBE member, you do get a discount.
Ah, okay. All right.
You do get a member discount on anything in the bookstore.
Cool. All right. So a lot of SBE members are here, but
Yep.
probably not 1% of the whole organization.
No.
So good idea to tune in. 4 p.m.
Good
Eastern
idea.
time today.
Yep.
SBE.org.
Yep.
Vinny, thank you so much, man.
You got it, Kurt.
I really appreciate it.
Time to go back to work.
Go back to work and see if you can grab somebody else to bring over here.
All right. We'll see what
Hey, Chris Tobin, are you with us, buddy?
I am here. Yes, I'm just
Good.
reviewing my books. I took Vinny's advice over the years. You know, I do have my. Here we go. We'll do this. Look at that.
You've got it. Yeah.
I've had it from the beginning, and then I also have my NAB handbook right here. There it is. Look at that.
Oh, that looks like an old one.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the 1948. Hang on. 1948. Yes, there it is. Look at that. The style. Notice.
Wow. Does it have? Wow. Is there is the chapter by Tesla in there?
No, but you can tune your 111Cs with it, though. You can understand what phone line equalization was done and how the phone companies did it. And what was the other
Really?
topics in? Oh, there's some good doozies. NAB recording and reproducing standards for mechanical, magnetic, and optical recording and reproducing. April 1949. Yes, the only thing left here that's worthwhile is probably the optical recording and reproduction. That's still around.
Wow. But their optical recording and reproduction was probably on film, right?
Probably. I haven't read through the full chapter yet, but it's pretty wild looking back at some of the stuff, and you get an idea of how things were and why they are today, the way they are. But the fun part is you go through this, and there's more mathematics and explanation to why transmitter antenna systems are designed the way they are and how they function, and it's really wild, the stuff they used to do. And let me see what it says. Oh, studios. Terminal equipment theory, the television system. The television system. How about that? That's reprinted from the RCA manual.
Oh, man.
Oh, yes. History. It's good to review history from time to time so you don't repeat it.
One place that I found a ton of history, at the transmitter site of WSM in Nashville. Oh my goodness, there is history there, and a lot of it's stuff that you find at other transmitter sites or in the archives of older broadcasting organizations, but just old copies of magazines from the 40s and 50s and 60s, where you had the ads for for television gear and radio gear, and the ads by today's standards, you look at them and you think, wow, that was the peak of technology back then, whatever it may be. And then all the manuals that were there, the manuals were amazing because they explained how the circuitry worked, which you typically don't get nowadays because you can't fix it nowadays. If there's an integrated circuit, the manual's not going to explain how that integrated circuit works, especially if it's doing 4 billion operations a second of various kinds and descriptions, right?
This is true, but I still think the manuals should have some type of like theory of operation so you can understand what's going on inside the box. That's what's missing. If you read some of the older manuals, the older handbooks, the reference manuals that have been made available over the years, you'll find them at transmitter sites, like WSM, WSYR, or there's a few half a dozen sites around the country. You'd probably find some great stuff. That's the theory of operation that's missing today. As you talk about live stream, I'm working on a project. Actually, I'll be doing it tonight, doing a video shoot with live stream and a Sony camera and a couple of things, and the theory of operations missing, and I'm working with a radio station student intern, what do they call them, and has no clue, can't understand at all about the live stream, what they call the studio broadcaster software, which is a video mixer, switcher, insert commercials, whatever you want to do, graphics, the whole bit. The principle behind a graphic lower thirds, the idea of composing setting up the camera shot so it looks a certain way, so you have the rule of 1/3. I mentioned that to him, and it's like, he looked at me like, what's that? I'm like, I thought you were working video class. I thought you were taking studies. What the rule of thirds? And they ever tell you that? You may joke about color bars and we shouldn't be using tweakers. Well, no one's even being told how the theory works. So that's a problem.
Ah, I see what you mean. Hey, look who's sitting down with me right now. It's Jerry.
Hi.
Massey. Hi, Jerry. How are you?
Hey, Jerry.
Good to see you.
I just spent 4 hours with you last night.
You certainly did.
My goodness, that was
absolutely.
that was a good meeting.
It was.
Yeah.
I think we had a lot accomplished.
So for those who don't know, by the way, we're live on This Week in Radio Tech. We usually do the show at 5 Eastern Time. Today we moved it up to 2 Eastern Time. Chris Tobin is also with us as well, but we don't have any headphones for you, so
That's
you and I
quite all
are
right.
going to chit-chat for just a minute.
Okay.
So Jerry is the elected position of the Society of Broadcast Engineers, and I'm delighted to be joining you on the board of directors.
And we're happy just thrilled to have you back, excuse me, on the board of directors.
So talk to me a little bit about the state of the SBE and maybe what are we looking forward to in the next year or so?
Well, I think the state of the SBE is very good at the moment, but we have a lot of challenges ahead of us, especially in the area of retaining engineers for the future and finding new talent. I think this is the biggest thing that we're going to be looking for in the SBE. Of course, the biggest thing that we have to offer is the educational side of the SBE and certification. No better organization can do that than the Society of Broadcast Engineers.
I want to say a really good thing about certification. I know SBE has put out some information about if you're certified, people who are certified tend to get paid more. They tend to rise higher in their profession. And, you can call that correlation or causation, but it's the mindset of the engineer who desires to get certified. Tell me about some of the different types of certification that are available through the SBE.
Well, of course, the standard broadcast certifications, all the way up to professional broadcast engineer, are available for the engineers, starting out with your basic certifications. And through a 20-year tenure in the business, you can work yourself all the way up to a certified professional broadcast engineer. Yeah. Of course, we're also well integrated into the IT side with our CBNE and CBNT certifications. So we're trying to incorporate all types of broadcast media into our certification program. And I think that we recently had an SBE educational summit to identify the areas that the SBE should be looking toward in education and certification for the coming years, and I think we're right on track.
You know, I got to say my own experience, probably 10 or 11 years ago, the SBE chapter in Nashville put together an education program to get one ready, or at least familiar with the concepts of the CBNT, the Certified Broadcast Network Technology. Is it technician or technologist?
Technologist.
Okay.
Right.
And I had never really thought about getting a certification myself. And so our chapter paid the expense of having Terry Baughan come and conduct some classes, and then we took the test. And I believe everybody in our chapter that came there passed the test, and I felt really good about it. And it inspired me to go on later on to get some other ones. So I got the certified broadcast, the radio engineer certification. Had to do that to become a board member.
Right.
And then later on, the network engineer, the certified broadcast network engineer, which was, you know, more knowledge than the CBNT. And so what I'm trying to do is speak for a moment to those of you out there who hadn't really thought about certification, that, oh, do I want to go to that trouble? I'm happy in my job. It's okay the way things are. But this will push you to a little higher level of professionalism to study for these exams, and then a sense of pride and value when you get that certification.
And I think the biggest thing to me being certified is it proves not to an employer or to another engineer whether or not I know what I'm talking about. It proves to me that I know what I'm talking about. As you say, self-pride. I think it's the driving force that is individual and personalized to everybody, every person. So I would encourage you to seek for certification. If you're not certified, try it out. If nothing else, it proves to yourself that you know what you're talking about.
When I got the happy news that I'd passed each of those two more recent ones I did, I was hoping this would impress my wife a bit, but I found that it made no difference. I still have no authority at home.
No, that's true. Here shortly, I've got to go pick up the boss and bring her over to the meeting tonight. So.
Now, there are also some certifications. This is a show typically about radio, but there's some television-specific certifications, I believe.
Certainly.
Even digital television, yeah?
Right. 8VSB
okay.
is a certification for digital TV. And I'm certified in that as well as AM directional radio.
Yeah.
And CPBE, which is Certified Professional Broadcast Engineer, and CBNT, which is Certified Broadcast Network Technologist. So, I did all these not to impress anyone, but to show to myself that I knew what I was talking about.
I sure understand that. And I want to point out that these the tests that you sit for these, I mean, there's certainly, you can study for them and learn and pass them, especially if you've got some plenty of hands-on experience. That'll help you a lot too. If you've ever sat for an exam for a ham license, you know a little bit about this. But my point here is that these are proctored tests. These are a serious test environment. There's no funny business going on here. You need some knowledge to pass these.
You certainly do. There's multiple choice questions, about 50 per test, multiple choice, and then there's a closed book section, an essay section that accounts for about 20% of that grade. So you certainly have to know what you're talking about, and you have to know the knowledge of the course that you're taking, certifications you're taking.
Something else that SBE does for us as engineers and for our broadcast industries has to do with providing information and opinion and maybe some persuasion to our legislators, people at the FCC who make rules, and perhaps even people in Congress who pass laws. Tell me a bit about the SBE's advocacy in that realm.
Okay, so one thing that we do for our members is try and be an advocate to not only keep them informed about new possible rules, regulations with the FCC, but also to get their input on what they feel that new technologies and new rules and regulations should be. And then we go to Congress. We talk to members of Congress regarding these new rules and regulations and how we as professionals see that they should be drafted in the benefit of our members.
By the way, I want to congratulate you on this beautiful handbook.
Isn't that a nice
Yeah, I
one?
was paging through it. It's nice. I'm going to buy one.
Okay, great. I have one myself. I'm going to bring over to the meeting tonight.
Should point out that, Jerry, I introduced you as our president of the SBE and elected by your peers,
Right.
but you're also a full-time engineer.
Absolutely. Going on my 44th year
Oh, my goodness.
in professional broadcasting. So.
And you're at Intercom?
Intercom Communications. I'm based out of Greenville, South Carolina. I'm the Southeastern Regional Engineer for the corporation.
And, you know, I always thought that you had radio stations only there, but you said you had the 8 VSB?
Well, I'm certified in 8 VSB.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessary for my job.
Oh, okay. So you're not working on any TV stations?
No.
Gotcha.
No.
Radio
I
stations.
worked in TV
Gotcha.
back in the early 70s
Ah,
for about
okay.
5 years before I transitioned over to straight radio.
Wow. 8 VSB, that had to be pretty interesting studying for that because there was no 8 VSB back in the 70s.
No, there wasn't any. No. And of course, I had to start from scratch in studying for that test.
And for those in our audience, we've mentioned this 8 VSB several times. And tell me, that's the transmission standard for digital TV,
For digital
right?
TV, correct.
So that just describes how the modulation works?
It
that
is.
it? Okay.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Cool. Jerry, we're about to have the meeting here in just half an hour or so.
Sure.
No, I'm sorry, hour and a half.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What do you anticipate happening here at the meeting? Any drama?
Hopefully no drama.
Okay.
No drama. No, it's a great opportunity, especially for the president of the society, to recognize individuals for their outstanding performance in the past year, and also to recognize our new board members that are joining us in service in the coming year.
Good deal. Good deal. Jerry, thank you so much for your time. Anything else you'd like to say to our audience?
No,
Okay.
just support the Society of Broadcast Engineers.
Because they support you.
That's true.
I'm telling you, it's true. All right.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thanks, Jerry. That's Jerry Massey. He's the elected president of the SBE, and he'll be presiding over some of the meeting here today, the SBE National Membership Meeting that's coming up. Chris Tobin, are you still with us?
I'm still here. I'm just listening and watching.
Good.
It's good. It sounds like the room is going to start to fill up soon.
There are people filtering in, but it's still an hour and a half away. So I think the people who are here are probably prepping for the meeting itself. Tell me about the frequency and call letters on the top of the sofa behind you. What's that about?
I was going through the NAB handbook and it fell out. It shows how old this is. The call letters and the frequencies from a radio station out here on Long Island. WDRE was a new music station. Those of you in the audience from the New York metropolitan area that remember the days of new music back in the 80s, you remember WLIR. And then it changed ownership and became WDRE, Dare to Be Different. So this was their bumper sticker that they had. I totally forgot it was even in the book. It just happened to fall out. So I thought it'd be fun to throw it up on the back.
At 92.7, was that a Class A FM?
Class A FM, the transmitter is still in use. It's now been, I think it's owned by Univision Radio. They bought it some time ago, but it's the transmits from the top of an apartment complex right on the Nassau County and Queens border here in the New York City area. But it's a Class A, yeah.
Yeah, I had a station that was a Class A on 92.7 years ago, 20 years ago in Mississippi. And somehow we were able, my friend and business partner Larry Fuss was able to do some horse trading and move things around. And we got on the 92.9 at 50,000 watts. So it was
very
Class,
nice.
Class B at that point. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's interesting. You see other frequencies in other parts of the country, and I don't know what my mind goes to. I've got an exciter that I could loan them if they ever had a problem.
I've had that come up. Yep.
I've got a couple antenna bays that I don't need anymore on 92.7. I wonder if they'd be interested.
Actually just this past weekend I helped a friend put up a new 2-bay FM antenna and took down his old one, so they can actually be retuned to 92.7 if we wanted to.
Yeah, and yeah, sure. Some antennas can be retuned. In fact, speaking of antenna retuning, twice we've had to reschedule our friend Dana Popolo. He's going to be on the show in the next few weeks. I'm sorry we've had to reschedule him twice now, but he's going to be talking about FM antenna tuning, especially kind of do-it-yourself tuning, or how to really do it professionally, and why it's important, why it's more important than you really ever imagine, that the FM antenna tuning while it's on the tower, or so that you have zero reflected power is really important. So that's coming up. Hey, we got a message from the folks at the Telos Alliance about a weekly e-newsletter that is really worth your time. Just click a button, subscribe to, and check it out every week when it comes to your mailbox. Let's hear the announcement.
Not much in the paper today, is there?
Yeah, not much. Seems tough to stay informed,
Like we're missing out on stuff, important stuff.
Yeah, feels like week-old news. Yesterday's stories. Half the tech stuff in here seems out of date by the time I see it.
What Kirk doesn't know is I'm way ahead of everyone else around here. Every Thursday, I get this newsletter in my email. It's Direct Current. The folks at the Telos Alliance publish this.
What Joe doesn't know is I keep one step ahead of the radio guys in this market. Every Thursday, I get Direct Current from the folks at the Telos Alliance. It's a free newsletter about radio engineering, audio, streaming, studios, everything.
Thursday afternoons, we have our department head meeting. I look like a genius, thanks to the knowledge, updates, and advice in Direct Current. Sometimes I wonder if I should tell Kirk about Direct Current. Might help him out.
I wonder if I should let Joe in on my secret. He could use a little help sometimes.
Nah.
Get Direct Current in your inbox every Thursday. Read profiles of engineers and newsmakers in the broadcast community. Get technical pointers putting you and your facility at an advantage. Important industry news and views. Plus, you'll be up to date on Telos, Omnia, Axia, and Zipstream products. It's all here in the Direct Current newsletter. Subscribe online at telosalliance.com/directcurrent. That's telosalliance.com/directcurrent.
Muted.
Yes, we were testing the mic muting, and it works fantastically. So we're live from Columbus, Ohio, from the two events going on here, the Ohio Association of Broadcasters Engineering Conference. That happens every year. And then also the SBE National Membership Meeting. And with me now is Ralph Hogan. Hello, Ralph.
Yes. Hey, Kurt.
Glad you're here. So you are involved with certification, and we were just talking about that with Jerry. But maybe you can get us a little bit more in depth into certification and how that works and the value of it. I know we've had a lot of SBE members who have never gone for a certification.
Well, one of the things we try and encourage our members to do is become certified. To become certified, you do not have to be a member of the SBE. That is not a requirement of certification, which a lot of people don't understand. That we do have people who become members after they become certified because we embed that in the costs of the certification exam. So you become a member for a year, but it's not a requirement to be a member prior to sitting for the certification exam. So that's something that not everyone is really aware of.
So I was telling Jerry earlier that I wasn't particularly interested in certification. I thought it might be difficult and more work than I wanted to do. And my chapter in Nashville 10 years ago held an education seminar with Terry Vaughn for getting kind of prepped for the CBNT certification. And a lot of us were very interested in that. And I felt like maybe I can, if I'm doing this with a bunch of other people in a class situation, I learn, add to my knowledge I already have, maybe I can pass this thing. And so it was a great encouragement for me to do it with my peers. Best thing I ever did, because it got me interested in then reaching other certification levels. Do you find that once an engineer gets certified, he or she becomes interested in furthering that to more certification levels?
I think on a whole, that is probably true. We have a number of members who become one level certified, and that's as far as they go.
Yeah.
But we also have people who kind of test the waters, so like what you explained, that they go for a level of certification and find that, wow, I really know something, and go for the next higher level of certification. You know, the ultimate goal is, as you mature in your career, is to become a certified broadcast professional engineer, and that requires 20 years of experience and passing the senior exam. But there's a number of members who become, or non-members, so who become certified at the senior level and never go for the CPBE, and that's really they're doing themselves a disjustice or injustice, because the CPBE is actually easy. You do a letter, you get a couple of endorsements, and have 20 years of experience. That's it.
Okay.
So the hard work's already been done when you've taken the senior level exam and passed it.
So I need to think about the senior level exam as my next goal, and because I've got 20 years, I've got more. I've got 35 years.
But to become the professional broadcast engineer, you have to pass the senior level exam.
Yes, exactly. So do that. Okay. Now, as you're the chairman of this committee, right?
That's correct.
And you and your committee, what are you focused on doing, either recently or next? What's on your horizon?
We are continually updating our certification database. As you know, the industry is moving quite rapidly into the IP world. We have a lot of analog questions, and especially analog NTSC questions that became obsolete here just a couple of years ago, and we've been purging those out of the system, putting in the new digital questions, adding digital radio questions, digital television, and soon we'll probably be adding some of the ATSC 3.0 once that becomes adopted. So our plan is always to keep our database current, so our members who, or those who take the exams, will always have a current, fresh exam to be tested on. Because what we're really doing is challenging their competency of knowledge, that they're basically things that they do in their daily jobs.
I would think that coming up with appropriate questions, and a lot of them, is a rather difficult task. How do you guys accomplish coming up with the pool of questions?
We have a pretty diverse group of members on the committee, and we utilize the committee members as much as we can. I was chair of the DRB certification when they came out, and since that was new and it was new to the industry, what we did, we actually tapped industry subject matter experts to help us develop the initial question pool. So not only do our members, our certification committee members contribute, but when we can, we go out into the industry and solicit questions from the industry. They don't get to see all the questions, they just get to see the little narrow piece that they contribute.
And in fact, this was, I got to sit in on a I'm not on the committee, but I got to sit in on a meeting. Pretty interesting at how how careful you are to not let, this is important stuff. If you have a certification from the SBE, you can back that up with that person didn't cheat to get that.
That is correct. We actually, a number of years ago, there was an accreditation body, a federal accreditation body, that we went through the accreditation process, and we were one of a few entities that actually got accreditation for our program, and part of that was the integrity of our question database and our questions and the currency of the program.
That integrity is a very good word for that. If you get a certification from SBE, that comes with a great measure of integrity, doesn't it?
Yes, and we're very proud of it.
Well, I know you've got some work ahead in getting more questions and perhaps even more certifications in the world of digital and especially IT technologies. I mean, so many TV stations are moving to all networked infrastructure. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah,
it's not just TV; it's radio is right there also.
Yeah. Wow. All right, it's a big job, but Ralph, it's very good that you're doing this and doing it so seriously.
We are serious.
That's right.
Thank you.
Oh, I should ask. So, if a person is not certified in anything, but they're an SBE member or not, where would they go to begin their journey towards some kind of certification?
Our certifications are really based upon job experience.
Mm-hmm.
So the technologist levels are really for people who've been in the industry, in the field for about 2 years or less. The broadcast engineer is 5 years, and the senior level is 10 years, and then the professional is 20 years. So depending on what your experience level is where you might want to go for ultimately. But if you feel that you want to take a lesser certification to start with and then move up, that's fine. Personally, I try to encourage people, if they meet the requirements, why bother going for the lower level certification? Because when you go to the next one, it's just replacing that with the higher level.
SBE has some study guides for all of these levels?
Yes, we have a computer program that's called TWiRT Preview that has a number of test questions of a number of our different certification levels, and you can do a Q&A. It's coming out of the database. The questions are actually based upon the exact same as the exam questions.
Mm-hmm.
We have some that we've taken the exam questions out for one reason or another, but they haven't always been purged out of the TWiRT Preview. So sometimes people complain about the having questions that they've studied for that they never see on the exam, and that's intentional on our part. We're still in the process, since we're an all-volunteer committee. It takes time to go through everything, but we are in probably about a 3-year project of going through all of our exams, all of our TWiRT Preview questions, and updating everything, and then trying to align the test questions with the preview questions.
You've kind of motivated me to start thinking about the senior engineer certification. Yeah. Because I've been doing this a lot longer than 10 years.
Well, you certainly have the experience, and it's if you decide to go that way, you'll probably find that it's not that difficult.
Well,
it's the apprehension of, of just taking the test.
It's the apprehension, exactly.
But we don't try and trick anybody. We don't have trick questions. We don't have questions that are not appropriate for the level of exam you're taking. So I think if you have the experience, you have a good chance of and a good opportunity to be successful in the exam.
Isn't it funny? I have no apprehension about climbing a tower and aiming a microwave dish, but taking a test, that's a little scary. Ralph, thanks again. Appreciate it so much.
All right, thanks.
That's Ralph Hogan. He's the chair of the certification committee. Oh, you can go to sbe.org/certification. Big long word. I'm sure there's a button you can click somewhere too, but you can go directly at sbe.org/certification. Chris Tobin, are you certified?
Sadly, no. No, I'm not.
Oh, well, let's
test thing.
We should get our senior engineer test together. We should do that at NAB.
That makes sense. Oh, by the way, you should congratulate Ralph on his recipient of the Engineer Award for APRE 2016. Engineer of the Year
APRE
Award.
gave you an award last year, yeah?
Yes, a Lifetime Engineering Achievement Award.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was founder of that organization.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you have a lot more stories to tell from early in your career, maybe from your military experience and beyond?
Some, and I have actually been in the broadcast industry for 50 years this year.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah, I have a lot of stories, as all of us do.
Wow. Maybe we can have you on the show for a whole hour sometime.
Sure.
I'd love to do that.
Sure.
All right,
Great.
good deal. Thanks, thanks again, Ralph.
Thanks.
Take care.
All right.
All right, we are live in Columbus, Ohio. Chris Tobin's here. Chris, take it away for a second, if you don't mind.
All righty then.
Oh.
We're going to take a... Oh, well, I thought you were going to say something. Well, anyway.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You go right ahead, and I'll be back in a sec.
All right. Well, Kirk is live on location, as he said earlier, at the SBE meeting in the Columbus, Ohio, I think, engineering conference. Hey, by the way, this is time of year for those of us on the East Coast to think about, and that is checking your transmitter sites, preparing yourself for the bad weather conditions. Those on the West Coast and Midwest, well, I guess the Midwest too at this time of year is going to get a little crazy. Check out the generators. There's been a thread on the PubTech bulletin board. For those of you who participate in that and those who don't, this is good for you to know. Whether or not you should run your generator load, no load during tests. Now, I've been of the mindset, and I know for years worked with folks in the engineering, what they call engineering planning society world, that generator on the no load is not the best way to test to make sure it's going to be ready for you when you have a load condition. So if you can, try quarterly to at least run the load. You should be confident enough to know that you can do it. If you have worries that switching from load, no load may affect your transmitter facility or your studio facility, then you should look to find out why that's happening and get rid of it. I can tell you I worked at a 50,000 watt AM station in New York City, and we ran load tests every week, and we were confident that when we switched, things would go like they should. So same thing that you should do. You should be confident, because if I worked with some cellular site folks, power folks, and boy, I'll tell you, they make sure they can switch back and forth from utility to backup power anytime they want. So think about it. This time of year, for those of you who have inclement weather conditions, and those of you on the West Coast or in the South where maybe the weather may not be that bad in the cold temperatures, but those stormy days can come through and take down trees or poles, think about your backup power. Because without the power, nobody will hear or see anything you have to say or do in broadcasting. So let's think about those things that tend to be sort of out of sight, out of mind. And the other thing to consider is in the studio operations. How often do you have something come up that once in a while you call in and you say, look, I'm not going to be in today, I'm not feeling well. Then you get a phone call from someone in a panic, and they're looking for something in the studio or in the rack room or the tech center. And you're like, well, it's on, blah, blah, blah location. Think about documentation. We talk about this all the time, and a lot of times we overlook it. Think of simple ways of documenting, not the. I've worked with a few folks and been in a few places where the documentation is a pamphlet. It's like it takes time to read through it. And I'm someone who has a little bit of a background in what we do, so I know what to look for keywords. But most staffers who are just coming up or just starting out, or may not be exposed to higher level engineering work at your facility, may not have the wherewithal or prowess to simply just say, oh, I can grab that piece of that book and thumb through it real quick. Think about documentation that's very straightforward, simple. And simple in terms is not because they're idiots, okay? I don't want to hear that. It's not the why you're doing it simple. You're doing it simple because when the S hits the fan, when the crap hits the fan, your brain switches into a different mindset, and you're not looking at things the same way. That's why it's got to be simple, okay? Not because of simpletons, not because you think they're incompetent. Because if they're incompetent, they shouldn't be working there. That's a whole different issue. Think of it in terms of an emergency. Well, do your test. Go out to your car, run in front of a bus. Tell me how you react to reading the insurance paperwork and what you have to do to fix the problem. There you go. Real simple test. So just think of it in those terms. That's all. I'm just going to be real simple about it. And while Kirk is getting himself together, maybe he's back. He's just sitting listening and laughing while I'm talking.
No, I'm listening. Good advice. In fact, while you were talking about AC power systems and generators, of course I just looked it up. And in this SBE and Broadcast Engineering Handbook is a whole section, of course, on AC power systems, including generator systems.
That's
Maintenance,
right.
care, feeding, design. Yeah.
One thing to remember, and this is a quiz, this is for you that are going through that manual if you have it. And if you don't have this handy, trusty hardcover book, which you should have, because I'm telling you, it's real handy. Wet stacking. What's a wet stack? Diesel engines. Some of you are laughing right now because you know. Those who don't, look it up. Very important. That'll explain why load, no load for my diesel. And also, you should look up how a diesel engine functions so you can understand better why the load conditions are important. And again, compliments to the folks on the pub tech talking about then asking the questions, should I do load or no load, and all the responses that have been coming back. So I got to give credit where it's due.
I looked at the price of this book. It's for members, SBE members. It's $159. And some of you go, oh, folks, this book is a career builder. And that's why I'm going to buy one. I'm looking through this book, and it is amazing. And what's amazing about this information is that it's written and distilled by people who do every day or almost every day. This is not just a bunch of manufacturer pamphlets strung together. This is the real. This is valuable information. That's amazing. This book, if you were to read the whole book and understand most of what's in here, I really believe it's close to the equivalent of a college education. I really do. It's amazing. Yeah. Is your book like that, Chris? Maybe so. So we are getting ready here for the SBE National Meeting. It starts in just about an hour. And I want to mention before we go and before we have our tip of the week, I want to mention our other sponsor, and that is Telos and the Telos VX Prime voice over IP phone system. Now, here's what's cool about it. You know, Telos came out with the VX system some years ago, and it's perfect for broadcasters that maybe have 4, 5, 6 studios, some production rooms, maybe even some news operation, and there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Telos VX systems out there. But the folks at Telos recognized a need for a slightly more limited system for those of us who maybe have 2 or 3 studios and a production room. So, you know, smaller stations, not big, huge facilities. Maybe you've got 2 or 3 or 4 stations under one roof, and you want to save a little money and still move into the world of voice over IP. Well, that's what the Telos VX Prime is all about. It does cost thousands of dollars, thousands plural, that about $3,000 in fact, less than the full VX system. Now, I got to tell you, if you already have Axia gear in a Livewire environment, network environment at your station, adding a Telos VX Prime is a cakewalk. You've already got the infrastructure. You plug a few things in, you order SIP service, you do a little configuration on the keyboard, and bam, you've got a brand new digital voice over IP phone system all just plugged right into your Axia Livewire system. If you don't have Axia Livewire, there's a couple of things that you can think about. You can think about, hey, should I go ahead and move to an AOIP infrastructure in my studios? Or if you're not ready to do that yet, you can simply get a few of the Axia or Telos branded nodes. That is, you know, audio input output devices, and you can get analog or AES audio in and out of your Telos VX Prime system. And then later on, if you ever do move into the Axia Livewire world, hey, you're probably going to need some nodes. Now you've already got them. So it's a win-win-win-win all the way around for Telos VX Prime. Now, how do you pay for a VX Prime? We've put out, well, at the video about Telos VX Prime, you'll find that on our YouTube channel or on the Telos website. There's a link to it. You're probably spending a lot for phone lines if you still have analog POTS or even T1 service from the incumbent telco. And I got to tell you, a lot of stations are saving a ton of money. I just talked to engineers in the last 3 weeks about how much they're saving by getting off of T1s and even some PRIs from the incumbent phone companies and POTS service and moving entirely to SIP. And there's a lot of different flavors of SIP available. So you want to have a conversation with folks that tell us about that. But some stations are saving, anyway, small station, saving $250 a month. A larger cluster of stations saving $900 per month. And I know that some stations are saving even more than that. At $900 a month, that's almost $11,000 per year in savings by switching away from traditional phone services and getting yourselves into SIP VoIP. Whether it's managed SIP or any of the other flavors that are available, there's a lot of savings available. And if you want to affordably get into a multi-studio, multi-line phone system that handles all this, look at the Telos VX Prime. So go to the Telos website, telosalliance.com, click on Broadcast Phone Systems, and you'll find the Telos VX Prime right there. It's a good deal. I highly recommend it. And as soon as we can get some more SIP brought into our facilities in Mississippi, we're going to go to a Telos VX Prime ourselves. And plenty of stations have. Let's see, I think there's close to 500 radio stations now and TV stations as well with Telos VX systems. And the Prime is just a software limited version of that gives you enough faders for typically 2-3 studios plus production rooms. Check it out. TelosAlliance.com. And I sure appreciate Telos Alliance being a sponsor of This Week in Radio Tech. Speaking, by the way, this really important subject of return on investment by switching from old, creaky, tax-laden, burdensome, expensive telephone services, moving over to SIP from either the incumbent carrier or competitive local exchange carrier, or what we call an ITSP, an internet telephone service provider. You can save a bunch of money, and we've got a new video on the Telos YouTube channel. It's either up now or it's going up soon. I believe it's basically called VX ROI. Look for that. We'll be promoting that in the coming weeks, and it really goes through some scenarios of people saving a lot of money on their phone services. Man, don't give away money you don't have to. Use it to, first of all, get new equipment that will use new phone services, and then when that's paid for, typically in under 2 years, just keep the rest of the money for yourself. Don't waste it. All right, we're coming to the close of our program. We've been broadcasting live from Columbus, Ohio, and the Ohio Broadcasters Engineering Convention and the SBE National Membership Meeting about to start in this room in about 1 hour. Chris Tobin, do you have any parting thoughts for us this day?
Real quick, I mentioned earlier, documentation and keeping things together and checklist, and this time of year for genset power and stuff. If you have an iPad, even an old one, consider putting a lot of PDF files on it. It's real handy to have. Keep track of your stuff. Get documents on all the equipment you have. Even if you have procedures, you have them scribbled on a napkin somewhere. Put them down on a document. Make a PDF file. Put on a server at the station, then put on an iPad or somewhere on your phone, in case that 11 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning phone call occurs, and you say, "Well, I got to remember this Nortel transmitter does what again?" Oh yes, and you can look it up real quick. Again, remember, during times of crisis, our brains think very differently, and the order of priorities change. So you're not going to easily look at that 400-page manual and say, "Oh yeah, I can find that information." Not going to happen. Make the cheat sheets. It's worth it.
All right, great tip, and I want to pass along a tip myself. I've been experimenting a lot with Chromebooks, and now this is not a Chromebook. This is a Google Pixel C, so it's running the Android operating system. And I've gotten really used to doing almost everything I do on a Chromebook, and then doing a lot of stuff also on an Android system, the Pixel C. But either one of these, and also no matter what operating system you're using, except I think Linux doesn't offer this, but Mac, Windows, Chromebook, iOS offers it. If you run the Chrome browser, you can use Chrome Remote Desktop. And all it requires is that you have the Chrome browser installed on the machines you want to control. It doesn't have to be running per se; it just has to be installed. And then you install the Chrome Remote Desktop app. And I'm getting to where I don't like using TeamViewer, for example, if I'm not paying for it, because it is a commercial application. So I don't feel good about using that, even though it works very, very well. I do use VNC for quite a few applications to access my remote computers at my radio stations. But I'm getting really comfortable with Chrome Remote Desktop because they don't ask you for money, and it does work pretty darn well. And it's really convenient. So check it out if you would. The Chrome Remote Desktop. It's an app that you add to Chrome, and then you can run it and have access to lots of other computers. And NAT traversal pretty well takes care of itself. So I've had excellent results with it. And unlike with typically with VNC, you need to open some ports. I guess there's some ways around that, but typically you do. TeamViewer, a lot of folks use that, and that works without does its own NAT traversal, but so does Chrome Remote Desktop. Like it. And also, if you have a bunch of computers as an engineer that you're responsible for, if you use the same sign-in on Chrome, and I created a Gmail account for the engineering work that I do with my radio stations, and so all my Chrome browsers on all my stations are signed into that account, right? They're synced with that account. So when I bring up a Chrome browser on any computer that I'm dealing with as an engineer, it's got all my tabs, all my links, all my bookmarks, I should say, are right there. And then I have a bookmark folders for each of several facilities that I take care of in 4 different cities altogether, and all the equipment links are right there. So I know there's lots of ways to do this. Do whatever's comfortable for you, but I'm really liking the Chrome browser and Chrome Remote Desktop, and having all the bookmarks synced all the way across. Works pretty well. Chris, thanks so much for joining us from your very comfortable looking location there.
It's very comfortable. Yes, absolutely. It's been good. I enjoyed it a lot.
And I want to finally encourage everybody to watch the live stream coming up in less than an hour. It'll be up on the web in about 40 minutes for the pregame festivities, and then the SBE National Meeting itself. So if you're an SBE member, hey, you need to tune in. SBE.org, find the link to watch the national meeting, and you can watch it live stream from there. Thanks again, Chris. Appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.
And Suncast, thanks to Suncast for producing the show. Appreciate him being so flexible. And Andrew Zarian, for the founder of the GFQ Network. You'll find plenty of fine podcasts on the GFQ Network to enjoy, whether it's engineering or Windows, What the Tech, or professional wrestling. It's all here. We'll see you next week. We got another great show coming up for you next week on This Week in Radio Tech. Bye-bye, everybody.